In a recent interview, Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson joked that he sleeps like a baby because he wakes up every 2 hours crying. And with how the markets have been looking this week, most of us can probably relate. This correction has been brutal for all of us, but there is still plenty to be excited about, especially when it comes to Cardano, a project that's on track to have its best year ever. Let's get it. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest crypto community in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. Every day on this channel, I show you how to make money in crypto. If you like money in crypto, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the recent updates with Cardano's development, take a look at what the community has been so excited about recently. Things are really starting to heat up for Cardano as we approach the much anticipated Goguen era with the launch of smart contracts, and institutions are finally starting to take notice. For the most part, Cardano's price and popularity have been driven by a strong and dedicated retail community, but now the whales are starting to splash around in the pond, or was it the ocean? According to a report published by CoinShares this week, institutional investors are starting to pile into Cardano in preparation for the Goguen launch. Institutions have purchased over $10 million worth of ADA in the past week alone, making it one of the most popular crypto assets of the week for institutional players. In fact, Bitcoin and Ethereum were the only assets in the market that generated more attention from institutions last week, with outflows of $110.9 million and $12.6 million respectively. In the first 6 months of the year so far, institutions had invested about $24 million into Cardano, which is okay, but when you compare that to the $10 million that came in last week, it's obvious, I guess you could say, things are starting to get pretty serious. Institutional investors are likely anticipating that the launch of smart contracts and a series of developing deals in Africa will drive a new wave of adoption for Cardano. Last week, we talked about the deal that Cardano and IOHK signed in Ethiopia to provide identity solutions for schools and other government agencies. But that deal is just one of many important partnerships underway in Africa. The government in Tanzania is also planning to use Cardano's technology to provide mobile internet access as well as identity services to its citizens. IOG's Director of African Operations, John O'Connor, recently revealed that Cardano is working with yet another government in Africa on a deal that will bring 1 million new users onto the Cardano network. Unfortunately, he didn't share any other details, and when asked about the partnership in an interview this week, O'Connor said that he could not share any specifics until the contracts were signed. As we saw with Cardano's previous government contracts, this could take some time. Government, am I right? Charles Hoskinson spent about 2 or 3 months talking to birds while he was waiting on these signatures for the last deal. Now, on the development side, there are plenty of great projects just waiting for Cardano to launch so they can deploy their applications. There are also teams of engineers that are already working to build upon the breakthroughs that were made in Cardano's peer-reviewed research. Charles Hoskinson recently revealed that Cardano would be publishing an algorithmic stablecoin paper sometime in the next few weeks. This is something that has been in the making for a very long time. Last year, when asked about the possibility of stablecoins on Cardano, Charles said that if we do this, then it will blow everyone out of the water. It was very obvious Cardano was going to need some stablecoins. Before getting involved with Ethereum, Charles worked on a project called BitShares, an early exchange that launched the first crypto stablecoin, BitUSD. BitShares made a significant impact in the early days of the industry, helped lay a foundation for much of the innovation that we are seeing now. But as we saw with many projects from that era, it was a bit too early and quickly surpassed by technology that was more functional and scalable. Although he left BitShares on good terms when the project was doing well, Charles says that he's continued to think about stablecoins and contribute to their development. It's not really clear what will be in the stablecoin science paper. I'm sure most of us wouldn't be able to understand it anyways, but there are a few things that we do know about stablecoin development on Cardano. First of all, IOHK announced earlier this year that users will be able to pay transaction costs with the native tokens they're trading. What this means is you will not need ADA in your wallet to exchange stablecoins and other assets on the Cardano blockchain. If you're trading a stablecoin or an ERC20 token on Ethereum, you're going to need Ethereum in your wallet in order to pay the transaction. With a mechanism on Cardano called Babel fees, this headache can be entirely avoided by allowing the user to pay in an asset that they actually have in their wallet. This could drastically improve the user experience for stablecoin trading, lending, and yield farming. When Cardano smart contracts go live, an algorithmic stablecoin called AgeUSD is expected to be operational on the network right away. Nobody has come out and said that the stablecoin is connected with the upcoming research paper, but all of Cardano's development arms are involved with the launch of this project, including the Ergo Foundation, Emergo, and Input Output Global. So it's safe to say AgeUSD will benefit from all the research that's been taking place behind the scenes. The information that has been released to the public about AgeUSD so far definitely seems to indicate that it will operate much differently than other stablecoins on the market. Instead of relying on liquidity from the volatile crypto markets to maintain its price, as many other stablecoins do, AgeUSD uses complex algorithms. Algorithmic stablecoins have been the holy grail of DeFi that many teams have sought after, but few have been able to figure out. Soon, we'll be able to see if Cardano's scientific approach is able to solve some of the problems that other teams have been getting stuck on. In his 5-hour-long interview with Lex Friedman, Charles shared that his team was working on a blockchain-based voting solution for the government of Wyoming, which he says could be used in the state's primary elections next year. Voting verification is a serious problem all over the world, and it's really always been a problem. With every single election in history, there's no way to tell if the votes were actually counted properly. And now, for the first time ever, we have the technology to change that. In all reality, there are a few different blockchains that could handle this task. But considering how much progress Cardano has made with their government deals so far, they are uniquely positioned to capture a large share of this market. So we have institutional investors making big allocations, major government contracts, and new technological breakthroughs. These are the types of developments that makes Cardano a serious contender for the next decade. This network has been chosen for national infrastructure in multiple different countries, now for finance, identity, voting, and a variety of other use cases. With these kinds of partnerships, Cardano has the potential to help push mass adoption of blockchain technology to all-time highs. What are you looking forward to on the Cardano roadmap? Let us know down below in the comments. Also, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Not only does it help us out, it keeps this content ahead of YouTube censorship and gives more people the information they need about Cardano and everything else going on in the cryptoverse. But that's all I got. Be blessed. Boy out. BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap will get you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.com.